My fish fam, it's Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and today we're going to be playing with Magnus Brandt's top 8 Merfolk deck. I think it was the Nordic Masters. Now, little background information about this deck list. This is not even Magnus Brandt's deck. Apparently, according to the commentators of the event, they said that Magnus had all of his decks banned after the BNR announcement, and so Magnus has to borrow a deck, so borrows Merfolk. So I don't even know whose list this exactly is. But anyway, this is the list over here that ended up making a top 8 at the Nordic Championship. It was like over 100 people there. I don't know, maybe it was like 170 or something. So a decently sized tournament. A nice surprise to see Merfolk on top. Now, the first question people are going to be asking, like, is this any good versus energy? How is Merfolk positioned versus energy? Merfolk sucks versus energy, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing you can do about it. And now, when you play in these events, playing opens, you got to get lucky in some ways. Now, here are the matchups from Magnus. Can we see them clearly? Here we go. And now Magnus did play against Energy twice in round 1, beat it, and also in round one more, Mardu Energy, and also beat it. Also played it in round 14, but it was a draw, so it doesn't count, and then lost to it miserably in the quarterfinals, and that was the end of Magnus's event. So, but what's very important is, and you see this online, there's a lot of other big decks that are coming to eat up energy that we do well against. We do fine versus Dimir Murktide, versus Amuletite, Jeskai Control, the Eldrazi Tron. If we want to beat these decks, we can. So that is the silver lining with Merfolk in today's metagame. That although energy is the top dog, energy isn't getting a free pass because a lot of other decks are adapting to beat the energy deck, and those big mana decks and control decks and tempo decks, we can defeat those. It is, however, sad that there are like a lot more sweepers now. Like, the biggest problem with a deck like energy is A, we're bad versus energy, and B, everyone else trying to beat energy is usually going to be playing cards that beat us. So for example, the big mana decks like Through the Breach Eldrazi deck, they are playing with main deck Kozilek's Return. That sucks for us. Sucks versus us. Or sorry, sucks for us that they're playing with these main deck, basically sideboard cards. But it is what it is, and we can do fine navigating through it. So I think this deck is a little unbalanced. We got like a one-off Dockhand here, a one-of Trickster here. Probably there should be like no Trickster in this deck, or I don't know, maybe I'm not really a huge fan of Trickster right now. It's poor versus energy, and it's just a 2/2 bear versus most of the other decks. One important thing though, 4x Harbinger of the Seas. So, Harbinger of the Seas, super important. So important against every single matchup. You can cheese out wins versus energy. It's good versus the big mana decks. Lock out those control decks. I think it is incredibly important and standard to have 4x Harbinger of the Seas in today's metagame. Also, you see the return of Silvergill Adept. If you want, I have also been playing with Silvergill Adept lately. So this is the type of style of deck that I have been playing lately, and Silvergill Adept, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. I would say Silvergill Adept, the risk is the reward is worth the risk for drawing a card and enabling our Flare of Denial in the metagame right now. It's convenient versus Storm. It's convenient versus Control. It's fine versus energy. Like, it's fine, but not perfect. It's not enough to move the needle. But whatever, we'll do our best. Damping Sphere for some of the Tron decks and also the Storm deck. Subtlety, Tashawn's Tidebinder, Force Turn Scolding, which is going to be useful versus the Murktide in the Murktide matchup, but also will bring it in versus energy. Consign a Memory. I have no idea what this is for. I guess the Tron-like decks, probably, maybe. I have no idea what I'll look at it very hard every single time we have to sideboard, but I have a feeling that, I don't know, this is just a weird card in the sideboard. I know a lot of other decks are making use of this. I don't know how we make a great use out of this, but we'll find out. All right, and with that, let's get into our Modern League. We won the die roll. I love it when I win the die roll, and then, but I hate when I have to mulligan while I win the die roll. This hand, I mean, it just has one threat in it, so we're going to mulligan. This hand's perfect. Perfect might be an exaggeration, but it's pretty good. We don't actually have a lot of card draw here, so I think I'm going to dump the Ether Vial. The more card draw you have in your hand, the better Ether Vial is, because as you draw cards, you're going to dump it. But between like Force Negation, that's going to eat up cards in our hand, and Flare Denial, which will probably eat our Silvergill Adept, which we'll use to protect our Harbinger, we don't need this Ether Vial. Alright, Island, and go, 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 go. So ideally, we're up in a matchup where they're going to be super weak to Harbinger. We can just go Silvergill, Adept, Harbinger, and then GG! GG! Verdant Catacombs. For a basic forest. Oh, can't hit that. Interesting. Oh, it's the, what's it called? It's the ramp deck. Yeah, we're going to flare. Sorry, we're going to force of negate this. That will cut them off one turn. Oh, I threw away my flare. Oops. I was like, I'm gonna force negate this and keep flare in my hand. Well, that didn't work out exactly. Oh, Tide Shaper. Okay, if they go for another Utopia Sprawl, we'll know what we're gonna do next turn. So these, I'm assuming this is a breach deck. Maybe not. What is going on here? I think I'm pretty free to. Actually, I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to attack for 2 and then hold up Hexcatcher. If, say, like, Trinisphere... Maybe not Trinisphere. These decks don't play that, but... Okay, is this going to be a red source? It is going to be a red source. And they're going to shock. And they're going to play... something. Cash Grab! Mill 4 cards. May put a permanent card from among those cards milled this way into your hand. If you control a squirrel, return the squirrel card to your hand. Create a food token. Maybe put a permanent card. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is like instant speed impulse. I think I'm going to counter this. Or maybe not. Maybe I don't have to counter this. Mill 4 cards. Maybe put a permanent card from among your hands. That's fine. You know, I'm going to I'll let this resolve. Now, I do want to get the Hexcatcher in play anyway because my opponent is going to be red. Seasoned Pyromancer! Was revealed. Well, this is not the deck I thought it was going to be. Anyway, okay, if this was like the Breach deck, I did want to get this Hexcatcher in play anyway, just to play around Kozilek's Return, because then if I end of turn play Hexcatcher, they could play Kozilek's Return, eat up my Silvergill Adept, and I'm like down a card. Here's the Pyromancer. This is not too bad. I do need to draw a land, though, for this Harbinger of the Seas. Our opponent is going to discard Fable the Mirrorbreaker to get some elementals. That's fine. Well, I do need a Lord. Okay, we get the Sink It to Stupor. We'll pay 3 life. Play our Harbinger. I guess we're just going to pass. So, no more red mana. And we do have Tide Shaper next turn to turn the basic forest off. So, I don't know. This might be if they can play Utopia Sprawl here. That'd be great! They play Utopia Sprawl. Because they have to tap their forest. How do you like them islands? Yeah, I know you don't like them, don't you? Here comes the Utopia Sprawl. Or it could be like Ancient Snow. I don't know what this is anymore. Like, this is just a brew as far as I'm concerned. We have a bunch of cash grabs in the graveyard. Okay, so there is a Karn. Okay, so I still don't know exactly what the hell is going on. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out, though. Ooh, Sphaloon. You know, I think I'd like to play a Sphaloon here. Do I want to play Sphaloon? Yeah, I want to play Sphaloon. Help us attack and then draw a bunch of cards in the future. Can't attack with anything. It's not worth it. I will be put to quite a dilemma if they play like another Karn the Great Creator. Seed of Hope. Mill 2 cards. Maybe put a permanent card from among them into your hand. Among the milled cards. All right, how many permanent cards are you going to put in the graveyard? Fable and a Stomping Grounds. They're both useless. Fable can't be cast. The Stomping Grounds does nothing. But they take the Stomping Grounds. One ring. No One Ring. No nothing. Okay, now we're on a hunt for... We're on a hunt! We're looking for a Lord of Atlantis. So we're going to attack with our Svaeloon. It's indestructible. Not to mention it. It has 5 toughness, so the 4 power here is not going to do anything. But we're just trying to draw and dig for a Lord. Not that I would play a Lord this turn. We're definitely going to be playing the Tide Shaper to deal with the singular force that they have on the battlefield. Another sink. It's actually quite nice. I think everything's very clunky in their deck at the moment. But let's shut them off. There are cards. If they played like the One Ring, I don't care. If they play even Karn, I don't care. And pass. Then after we attack one more time with Svaeloon, they chump block, then we can pretty freely attack with everything. That's right. You got nothing. You got nothing. The old mana screw plan. Okay, I guess this is just like a red-green aggro deck of some sort with Karn. I don't know. I mean, I guess they don't have Kozilek's Return because they just have a bunch of 2/2s and 1/1s themselves with Pyromancer, but maybe they do. I don't know what to expect with this deck. I suspect... Is Stirring of Scolding good here? I saw one creature. They had Fable. Countering Seasoned Pyromancer is great. Okay, Tishana's Tiebinder is going to be good. What is not going to be good here? Trickster is probably not going to be good. Flare is going to be fine because they're a Karn deck. Force is going to be fine because they're probably a Ring deck as well. They're probably Karn and Ring. Svaeloon is going to be fine. Harbinger of the Seas is going to be complete gas. Probably not a fan of Dockhand. That doesn't leave me a lot of room to bring in anything. Am I overrating Silvergill Adept here? Might be overrating Silvergill Adept. Might be overrating Hexcatcher. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm supposed to change much here. Maybe we'll just bring in some subtleties to interact with some of these creatures. Actually, Dockhand, look, it doesn't seem terrible. It's probably bad on the draw, though. It's probably not so great on the draw. Okay, let's... Is Svaeloon, like, overrated? Am I overrating Svaeloon here? I don't know what I'm supposed to have or do. No, you know what? I like Svaeloon if the board is going to get gummed up. Let's just leave it like that. I don't know. Our deck looks... From what very little that I saw, the deck is fine. The deck is fine. This is not a very exciting hand, to be honest. They began the game with 7 cards. Okay, we're going to keep this. It's not exciting because it's not very interactive. Okay, they're going to have their fast start with Utopia Sprawl. We'll play an Ether Vial. We shall pass the turn with our Vial. And with 2 mana, they play the Malevolent Rumble. So another card that goes finds cards. They have Pyroclasm. You got Pyroclasm. I'm glad I kept all these Svaeloons in the deck. But that, like, kills your creatures, too. What kind of synergy is this? Okay, they don't keep the Pyroclasm. They took... They took the Seasoned Pyromancer. Oh, there's 2 of them in here. That's value. That is value. Well, if they have Pyroclasm, I guess they have Kozilek's Return at the same time. So we will play our Master of the Pearl Trident, and like if you have a Pyroclasm or Kozilek's Return, you better use it. Because you are not going to be allowed to use it later. If they go for a Karn next turn with all their mana, we have access to Flare of Denial. I will absolutely Flare of Denial the Karn. Make no mistake, 100%. They can count on it. They're going to crack their Wooded Foothills to get a Stomping Ground, end of turn. This is end of turn. Mill 2 cards. May put a permanent card from among the mill cards into your hand. Isn't this like instant speed sleight of hand? except stronger. Why was this card not found? This is like sleight of hand. It's like, okay, take one card or put the other one on the bottom. This one gains you life. Omniscience. Opponent, what are you trying to do? What is a show and tell in modern? This like this is a little bit revealing. I don't even know how you get this in play. How? How would that work? How does that even happen? It seems impossible. Now, while I do have Flare of Denial in hand, we probably should be aware that this deck has... do you have Delirium? You have 5 card types, apparently. Okay. The Shifting Woodland. Oh, can this become anything in the graveyard? It becomes a permanent card in your graveyard. Oh! This is crazy. So I actually had to get rid of... okay. Okay. Interesting. I do not have Harbinger of the Seas in my hand. I'm learning. I'm learning. So now the Rumble can go get anything. This deck is jank. So fortunately, I guess we have like a massive advantage in this matchup. One with the multiverse. You may look at the top card of your library. You may play land cards and cast spells from the top of your library. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. No. I don't want that to happen. I'm going to lose game 2 for sure, but whatever. I see the idea. Well, now we got more information. Now I want those Tishana's Tidebinders from my sideboard. I didn't think those Tishana's Tidebinders were going to be that good. Now I realize, you know what? Those Tishana's Tidebinders, they're not bad. My opponent's deck has a bunch of activated abilities and triggers. Seems like a really good idea. Okay. I was going to do a lot of things, but we're not going to do that anymore. Okay, we got to deal with this stupid Shifting Woodland crap. That was a pretty evil interaction. That was evil. So it was supremely evil. Okay, you can discard some cards. You better discard some of the rubbish cards. There's so many dead cards in this deck. Another Shifting Woodland. Do I die? You know, I mean, it's also possible that they just like brick. Right? Oh, they found Grizzlebrand this time. Oh my god. Oh, there's Grizzlebrand. Okay, I'm assuming I'm dead now. I'm probably dead. I do want to see what's in their deck, though. We need more information. We didn't have enough information game 1. I'll put a Lord in play. In response to this Karn. I mean, if we top deck a Lord, do we win? This is 4, 8, 11. Damn, so close. So close yet so far. Aetherflux Reservoir. Well, I mean, this is at least in their sideboard, so it wasn't clogging up their main deck. Okay, I'm just gonna F6. So we are now in information grinding mode. I just want to know what's in this deck. So it's ramp, these like cards to dig for other cards. It's omniscience, some board wipes, and just basically cards that grind for other cards to get things in the graveyard so that your Shifting Woodland actually does something. So like what this deck is telling me is if I have Harbinger of the Seas, it's like GG. They can't even beat that card. I mean, they probably have some sort of removal, probably. Well, they're getting life. Yeah, no, they'll do that. And then with that life, they can pay life with their Grizzlebrand. I mean, we are dead. We're just stone cold dead. I just want to know more about their deck. Maybe they'll tell us how they sideboarded. I mean, I've never seen this thing before. It's definitely a brew of some sort. Some streamer came up with this idea. Here we have Utopia Sprawl. Seed of Hope. Yes, yes. Tell me more about your deck, opponent. Tell me more about your deck. What else? You got another... You got Aetherflux Reservoir in the main? Or did they not show these cards? Anyway, okay, I got blasted for 1,000,000,000. Cast another Omniscience. Okay. Okay. So, what I'm being told is, I don't even want you to get that much mana. I can't, that's not a very reliable card, though. So this stops only the Seasoned Pyromancer. Trickster doesn't look very good. So Tachana's Hivebinder, easily slam dunk. Damping Sphere actually might be good. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. Technically, so the problem with playing a card like this is for like when things go bad. If we have control of the game, this card is not necessary. But maybe we can use it anyway. This counters colorless spells. Counter target triggered ability or colorless spell. There's only Karn. I'm still pretty sure that they've got the One Ring in the deck. Slam Dunk 100%. Not as Slam Dunk. Definitely keep. Probably keep. Okay, Subtlety is useless. This is not that important. Sveiloon is not that important. I think we're racing them, so maybe Dockhand is more important than a Silvergill Adept. Yeah, we're going to be in a bit of racing mode. I don't know how important Damping Sphere is here. How often are they trying to play several spells per turn? Unfortunately, they don't have any colorless lands. It's close. I have a feeling I'm supposed to bring this in, but I'm just not going to do it. Or, does that make any sense? So they play Omniscience. They can even... So the thing is, like, let's say they get Omniscience online and they just play Grizzlebrand from their hand. Like, I can't even beat that. I probably just lose to Grizzlebrand being on the battlefield. So, like, the Damping Sphere probably is not doing nearly as much as I think it is. Because they could have... I don't think it's going to be doing as much as I think it will. Okay, so I will just submit the deck as is. And winning the die roll is always very convenient. This hand is... okay. Say okay. It'd be better if we did something on turn 1, but you know what? Next best thing is not playing something on turn 1. I'll force this. I really want them to have crappier mana. Well, okay. Now you can play Utopia Sprawl. You can have as many Utopia Sprawls as you want. Damn, you don't want to do that now? No? Okay, so what am I willing to throw into here? Maybe Tide Shaper and still hit the forest? No, they're gonna go get what's it called? They're gonna get a Stomping Grounds off of this. So let's wait for the Stomping Ground and hit that. They do need double red with their Seasoned Pyromancer anyway. So we'll attack with the Silvergill Adept. I think I would rather try to hit a red source if possible. And we can still sacrifice the Silvergill Adept to Flare of Denial if there is a Pyroclasm or something. Pyroclasm will suck, but I can't really do anything about it. Okay, yeah, instead of Stomping Ground, they get the Commercial District. Which is also fine. And they have a bit of a think. What do they want to do? Seed of Hope, yep. So they find Seasoned Pyromancer, not that they can play it this turn. I think that's the only thing that they can get, because the other card was the Rumble. So it's actually possible to brick on this. It's not, in some cases, that's a worse version of what's it called? I guess it's worse than sleight of hand. We'll attack for 5. We'll play our Tide Shaper. Hit the commercial district. Just make it a little bit harder for this young Pyromancer to go off. And then if they spend their next turn playing young Pyromancer, we'll let it resolve. Oops, I missed my land drop. We'll let it resolve. They'll be tapped or they'll be tapped out on red sources, which is fine. And then what we can do is attack for 6, hold up Flare of Denial and Otawara on their following turn, probably win. So it's like if we have a 2-turn clock. It's just so high risk for them to tap out here. Shifting Wildwood. Anything to go get with that thing? Okay, Karn. I think I'm fine with this resolving. Because we can attack for a lot. We can attack for 8. And then like we'll have like a lot of stuff up by next turn. The Underworld Cookbook. Well, that doesn't sound good. Maybe I'm going to diversify my efforts here. So they're going to play the cookbook because they have Emrakul in hand, which I will flare, I guess. I have to flare it, or I'm probably dead. No, they don't have colorless for Emrakul, so it doesn't matter. They need like triple 7 colorless? Triple colorless? Which doesn't exist. Let's see. Attack for 8, put you to 3 versus attacking for 5. Yeah, attacking for 5 is just safer. Because I still have 6 damage on the board. Unless Seed of Hope changes those plans. And now we can Flare of Denial something. Hopefully Flare of Denial will be the key. If they play the cookbook, yeah, we'll let it resolve. I don't think there's any way that will kill me. I don't think so. Oh, the one thing cookbook can do is, I guess, discard an Omniscience. Discard a card, create a food token, gain 3 life. Starting to think that this card has more purpose than I originally thought. So if they discard, and this only, how much mana is this? It's 4 mana. So if they discard the Omniscience, I'm just mostly paranoid of Pyroclasm. Some people are like, why don't you just flare this thing? Because if I flare this and they Pyroclasm, I stone cold lose in this spot. But it seems like they can't do very much with their position either. Also, they don't even have double green yet. They might still have it. They might have it in their hand. What happens next turn? I can't exile the graveyard. And they can't really do anything with their turn either if they get the food token. I'm gonna let it resolve. I have a feeling I don't like it. I'm not happy about it at all. I can try to Otawara the food token. Guess that doesn't do anything. Okay, they have another Sifting Wildwood. They found one with the multiverse. You may look at the top card. You may play land cards. Okay, that is fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. Now I'm wondering, what do I use this Otawara on? I could Otawara... If I Otawara the food, I force them to tap 2. If I Otawara the Underworld Cookbook, I force them to replay it next turn. What can this become? Target permanent card in your graveyard until end of turn. Activate only if there are 4 or more. Can it become a Karn? What does this do? One with the multiverse. So I think I'm going to want to... I'm going to try to bounce the cookbook, I guess. Because they have to crack the food anyway. They don't have a choice. Hexcatcher is perfect. They're dead. All that calculation was for nothing. A trusty Hexcatcher off the top. Another thing that we could have drawn with the Tashanda's Tidebinder so that this food token won't gain any life. Yeah, you got that, but I got this. Haha! Now left to beat the Merfolk. All right, we won round 1. I don't really have anything to say. I assume that this is a good matchup. Assuming we get some interaction. If you have no interaction, they'll be like any other combo deck. They'll just goldfish for victory. But we had plenty of interaction in this game. And another thing I have to say about this type of deck is it's really janky because you have all these types of cards that are stuck in your hand. So there's a lot of ways that this type of deck just draws the wrong half of everything. So I think that favors a Merfolk deck as well, as we just need to counter very few key cards. And I think countering the ramp is the most important, so they can't go turn 2, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, turn 2, Seasoned Pyromancer, and I bet their red mana is... Well, I mean, probably the red mana is fine, but I'm sure it all accounts... Utopia Sprawl accounts for a good chunk of that red mana. Okay, that was round 1. Let's move on to round 2. We lost the die roll in round 2, and we have like a really clunky hand. Not really a fan of these types of hands. I mean... Actually, maybe I should consider keeping this. So we got like 2 Harbinger of the Seas, but like no guarantee to hit our 3rd land drop. On the other hand, we do have Silvergill Adept, which hopefully can like bridge into that. So maybe I can keep this. And Harbinger of the Seas is just overwhelmingly one of the best cards in the format right now. Really, it's just very, very well positioned for Merfolk. So okay, I will keep. I was willing to mulligan this though. If this was like another Lord, I probably mulligan. Because I don't think it's worth the risk keeping it. Doing nothing on turn 1 is just like so sketch. Oh, I'm on the play. Oh, forget that. Okay, I'm on the play. This hand's amazing. This hand is a slam dunk keep. Oh man, that would have been so embarrassing if I threw this away. Blitzing Mire into Blood Crypt into Nethergoyf. Alright, Nethergoyf. We're well positioned versus Nethergoyf because we have the Silvergill Adept. Okay, so we're curving into our Harbinger of the Seas no matter what. So I don't need to play Silvergill Adept right now, and I definitely don't because I don't want to get eaten up by Bowmasters. So we're going to lead off with the Lord first to play around Bowmasters of the future. And if they tap out again, we Harbinger of the Seas and screw them. And then Nethergoyf just dies to our Trickster. Well, okay, if they are smart... They're smart. They're going to go get some basic land, which they do. They play Street Wraith. Oh, it looks like it's the Shadow deck. We're up against Shadow. Uh-oh! We're up against Hollow One. They discard 1 Hollow One. That's good news for us. Our hand is fine-ish versus Hollow One. Fine-ish. They have a follow-up here. They do have a Hollow One. Actually, this hand is not that good. Oh, drawing the Force Negation here is not that good. So I'm going to get hit for 8. Next turn I can block. Okay, so I will start the party off with the Harbinger of the Seas to screw over their fetch lands. Yeah, basically screw over their fetch lands. And we can deal with the Nethergoyf and then with Trickster and Silvergill Adept somewhere in play in the future. What? What kind of swamp is that? It looks like a forest. Anyway, we'll Force Negate this. Pitch the Harbinger of the Seas. We need the Trickster to kill the Nethergoyf in the future. Attack me, huh? I don't think you're winning this race. In my opinion, I'll attack you for 5, then hopefully for a lot more. So best draw would be a land here. Best draw is definitely a land. It's not bad. Okay, so I can attack with both. If they block Master of the Pearl Trident, we just Trickster. So attack with both, that's 8-5. I can do some chump block Sarunis. Tide Shaper's not bad because we can double spell this turn. And double spelling is going to be important. So we go to 9. They attack with everything. Only have 8 on the back, crack back. That sort of sucks. Supremely sucks. I could attack with just the Master of the Pearl Trident. Then when they attack, I Trickster another Goyf. Have Harbinger of the Seas block it. No, or I can attack with Harbinger of the Seas. And do the same thing. Trickster another Goyf. If they don't block, they take. Well, they can't block actually. So I attack for 3. Then I can go Trickster another Goyf. Master blocks it. Then both Tide Shaper and Trickster block Nether Goyf. Only 1 dies. Take 4, go to 4. Then I have how much power on the way back? Because I would like to attack with both, but then they don't block, because why would they? Why would they block? Does hitting their mana do anything? Probably not. No, anyway, I can't afford to play Tide Shaper like that. I think that's just going to be our line. So I attack for 3. Put out a bunch of blockers. Hopefully kill everything, then we can chump block Hollow One and win. Hopefully. That's how this plays out. Hopefully that's how this plays out. Yeah, they can't do anything about this. Now, this is going to look a little sus. You know, we play our Tide Shaper for 1 mana holding up 2 double blue. Look a little sus, if you ask me. I wonder if can these Nether Goyfs get bigger? Well, if they get to 5-6, like, we still kill them. We'll still trade 1 for 1 with our Trickster. Because the Tide Shaper is a 3-3. It's just very important that this doesn't die. But if they have Bolt, then we were just dying anyway. There's just not much we can do about that. What is this? Red man and pay for something. Oh, the Phoenix! Gonna give that Hollow One haste. And flying. Now what do I want to do? It shrunk the Goyfs. That's very interesting. Because now I can, like, tap down the Hollow One. They can't even attack with the Goyfs. Is that worth it? And then what? I have 9 power on the board. Let's hope it's worth it. Hopefully they don't have Fatal Push up there. Our one of Trickster doing something here. Yeah, Hollow One is, I haven't seen this deck in like 6 years. I guess it's back. It's back and better than ever before. They resign? What did they resign for? This doesn't have Island Walk. They might have miscalculated this. Like, they're not dead. Because I can only attack for 9. They can block the Master of the Pearl Trident. But what were we drawing? Silvergill Adept into? I wouldn't have had the mana. Interesting. Okay, they prematurely resigned. I think they misunderstood that Master of the Pearl Trident doesn't give itself Island Walk. We might have still won that game, assuming their hand was just trash, because we can still take a hit for 6 from them, and we keep some blockers on the ground, and then we would win the following turn with the top deck Lord. Okay, cards that we want. I don't think we want Damping Sphere. It doesn't. I mean, I could see some purpose for it, but not really. Subtlety looks great. Silvergill Adept is fine. I think actually Hexcatcher is not very good. I don't really like Hexcatcher in these types of matchups. Now, in a long time in the past, I never had access to Flare of Denial or Force Negation, and holy crap, those cards are going to be very useful now. Especially Force Negation, just hit the Goblin Lore, the Burning Inquiry. I think Silvergill Adept was fine because this is going to be I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Flare of Denial matchup. Although Flare of Denial will be significantly worse on the draw. Harbinger of the Sea should still be good. Do I have to put something back? How good is Tishana's Tidebinder here? I don't think it's that good. Ooh, what can I hit with this? The Flameblade Adept. So I can hit with Stern Scolding, I can hit Flameblade Adept. I can't hit Hollow One. I can not always hit Nethergoyf. I think on the play Hexcatcher will be better. I'll probably side out Subtlety on the play. Well, anyway, I'll put one Hexcatcher back inside. Can't tell or remember if Tishana's Tidebinder is gonna be good. You know what's actually good? That's not in this deck? Dismember. Dismember is actually pretty good. Dismember's not bad. Our opponent mulligans to 6, but we have a 1-lander and we have to go with them. This is basically the same hand. This is pretty bad. Yeah, we'll go... I need to go double land drop. I mean, there's a lot of things I can do for free with this hand, but it's just not enough. This hand is miserable, but we'll keep. We'll dump. Free spell. I guess I'm just going to dump all these things. We're going to lose. Unless I top deck incredibly well. My plan is just curve out. That's my plan. We're just going to curve out. Get something with that subtlety. If I have to cast it for full retail to get good value. You got something, opponent? Oh, they got nothing. They got nothing. Ooh, we got a Lord. Not bad. It's not bad. The curve is better now. The curve has improved. Are they on a 1-lander? Why didn't they crack their Wooded Foothills? Like, don't you get a Surveil land there, or does the deck not play any Surveil lands? Street Wraith, draw a card. Another Street Wraith, draw a card. Hollow One, maybe? Swamp. They got Swamp. They got Goblin Lore. I'd force a negate it if I could. They did not. Oh, they discarded garbage. So they got good stuff in hand. Usually that's what it means. I mean, they might have kept the sketchy 2-card hand with the hope that Goblin Lore was going to fix it, and I guess it just didn't. So you're telling me my Harbinger of the Sea is not going to do very much in this game? Do you know what? I think their red mana is more important. We're gonna Tide Shaper this mountain. We're on the mana screw plan now. Well, mana screwing now. I wonder if this deck plays Fable now. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Our opponent is doing all the work for us. They're at 13 life. We haven't even done anything yet. Fable? Ooh, Dragon Rage Chandler. I think I'm going to Subtlety this. I think I'm going to Subtlety this and then slam our Harbinger of the Seas. And then hopefully they don't have red mana for the rest of the game. I don't think black is where they're at. And also, let's say they do have black mana. Let's say they have Fatal Push. They can't Fatal Push the Harbinger of the Seas. Oh, you want that? You want that Dragon Rage Chandler, don't you? Puts it on top of their library. Another Harbinger of the Seas. A little paranoid you have Bowmasters. Do you have Bowmasters? Okay. Like, how many like good cards can you fit in here? Go Merfolk. Now play the Harbinger of the Seas. So all fetch lands are now islands as well. Swamp is all that's available to them. No! They did have fail push. All right, Drag Rage Chandler online. So it wasn't worth it. I threw away my Lord of Atlantis for this. But fortunately, they have to attack every turn. Ooh, we got another Lord. Anyway, I'm just going to play another Harbinger of the Seas. They attack. I mean, we're pretty far ahead, I think. More or less. A card that could screw us, actually. You know what? I didn't think about it. A card that could screw us is Burning Inquiry, because Burning Inquiry can make me dump my Lord. So maybe I should have played the Master of the Pearl Trident to play around Burning Inquiry. Burning Inquiry is the red sorcery. Each player draws 3 cards, discards 3 cards. Holy moly! Pyroclasm is very good here. That's a very good card versus me, opponent. That will work. Maybe we need more... Actually, like, Hexcatcher doesn't really play around that very well. They had a more controlling hand. Was this going to be Tassiger? Gurmag Angler? Oh, the Phoenix. They have the Bestow thing. Okay, attack for 5. Well, if we can top deck well, maybe we can get out of this. They're pretty empty-handed. It's a 4-turn clock, so we have a lot of turns. I shouldn't say a lot, but I mean... their life total is in a precarious spot themselves. Oh, they have an extra card off of Mishra's Bauble. And they probably know what's on top of their deck. Nikachu Super does nothing for me. Oops. I have to say the way that Merfolk has changed, it's not exactly in our benefit versus Hollow One. Cards that are like pretty good in this matchup. Usually Dismember is good. Even though it does a lot of damage to us, it takes a lot of effort for them to get something in play. Another thing that's good is Harbinger of the Tides, which is like heavily fallen out of favor. Merfolk Trickster is pretty good. But maybe counterspells are enough. Like, you know, being able to force negate this now is like really big. It's really, really big. And remember, we mulligan to 5. So if it looks like we're struggling, well, we were down to 5 cards. You know, what do you want from me? The Nethergoyf is back. So we can hit for another 5. First, the life total is not low enough. We'll attack them for 7 after bouncing this Nethergoyf. Bounce. I don't think I can win this. I'm just gonna concede. Even if I bounce attack for 2, I get hit for 5, and I can't beat this, and like, I have no chance of winning the game. Flare was not gonna do anything. Nope. Back to sideboarding. Okay, I'm on the play. I'll get rid of the subtlety. I'll bring the Hexcatcher back. It's not really going to help us versus Pyroclasm, because I already need like 2 lords on the battlefield in the first place. Is there anything else that helps me versus Pyroclasm? Not really. Shah's Timebinder, I just don't think is going to do it. Stern Scolding also not going to do it. Problem is, like, when if DRC is on the stack and it's has Delirium, I think it's a 3/3 on the stack. Okay, I would love to go first. Hand is decent. We'll keep this. So sort of weak to Pyroclasm also, but we do have a Svelun backup. So you also have to consider they could just go turn 1 Burning Inquiry and screw your entire hand. So that's also a possibility. And then everything in our hand is meaningless. Dragon Rage Chandler, it's a pretty good upgrade, I think, for this deck. I hate seeing that card. It's just pure evil. Street Race. Ooh, Burning Inquiry. All right, here we go. Did they discard? Yay! They discarded a Hollow One. Huzzah! And we got to go turn 2 Silvergill Adept. with Flare of Denial backup. What am I going to show here? I guess I'll show this Sphaloon. And we'll probably play Sphaloon turn. Oh, I don't know. I'll think about it. Ooh, the turn Bazillion Ether Vial. Completely useless to us. Okay, with Blood Crypt being played, I might lean towards playing Harbinger of the Seas next turn. Bowmasters. Okay, let's say it resolves. Do I care? Oh no, I do care. I got a Sphaloon in hand. Yeah, I do care. I care a lot. Sphaloon's our baby. It's gonna get us out of this. Well, now what? I definitely want to keep the Ether Vial in our hand for... What's it called? I want to keep it in my hand for Burning Inquiry. Okay, Sphaloon or not Sphaloon? Okay, we'll play Sphaloon. I don't think anything can kill this. Fatal Push can't hit it. Burn cannot hit it. It's tempting to play Harbinger of the Seas, to be honest, though. But their deck can operate... Look, they had a mountain in their hand. The deck can operate off of very little lands. Or I should say very few, like, red mana sources. What did they discard, by the way? Discard Mishra's Bauble, Lightning Bolt. They didn't get the... There's no Phoenix here. Okay, they're going to draw a card. Dockhand is nice. I like that. So we will go... Attack for 3. Or is it nice? I think it's nice. Draw land. I think I'm going to be patient here. Or maybe I'm going to play Harbinger of the Seas, and if they have a Pyroclasm, then I'm going to force them to play it. And though I said earlier that I was going to hold the Ether Vial for, what's it called, Burning Inquiry, I'm going to play it now, because I do want the ability to play, like, Rishon and Dockhand at end of turn. You want to bolt this, and you want your black mana back, huh? You need it that badly, huh? Oh yeah, it's dead. It's one less thing, one less bolt on my Lord of Atlantis. Oh, is this Fatal Push? It's Fatal Push. Boo! Oh, another Goyf. It's a big Goyf. But I got a lot of big stuff myself, so I think I'm just gonna play the Lords. So that gets around Pyroclasm, and we can play a Dockhand at end of turn. They can attack for 6 all they want, and if they don't attack, we'll sink into Super it on our following turn. Ooh, the Goyf is going to take the skies. Take to the skies. Do you even want to attack? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Now, interestingly, I believe if we bounce the Goyf, the Phoenix is still on the battlefield, right? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so we will... cast the Springs on Nether Goyf. Still have the Phoenix, which is awkward, but we're going to attack with everything. Still attack for hit 8 in the end. And I don't think there's any way our opponent can get out of this. Now our creatures are just way too big. They would literally have to go like Nether Goyf into playing the Phoenix into, I don't know, Bowmasters or something. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You have 2 of these? Okay. They made me sweat hard. Made me sweat. Oh my god, that was yeah, that was that. They did it so confidently too. It was just like, slam Pyroclasm, slammed 2 more mana. Okay, anyway, that was it is normally this traditionally was a good matchup a long time ago because our Merfolk lined up very well with the versus their creatures, but these days our counter spells like Flare of Denial and also Force Negation just lines up incredibly well with their enablers like it's called Burning Inquiry and Goblin Lore. Because if they don't have these discard effects going, then a lot of their synergy to their deck is killed. Though I had to say, if there is definitely a world where they would have just smashed us. I mean, maybe they sided out. No, they didn't side out with the Hollow Ones. But if they went like turn 1 Dragon Rage Chandler into, I don't know, playing removal spells and then playing another Goyf, we definitely could have lost to that line of their deck. Anyway, that was round 2. We'll move on to round 3. We won the die roll. We have a bit of an interesting hand where I've got a Tide. We have like Lords, we have Svelune, we've got like a Tide Shaper. I mean, I'm gonna keep this, and the real problem in the blind is like, what the hell do I play first? I could go Sink into Stupor, pass, Tide Shaper, almost whatever they play, or even not play Tide Shaper. Maybe hold it back if we know it's useful. Or play turn 1 Tide Shaper to go Lord into Svelune. I think if I had Flare of Denial, I would definitely play the Tide Shaper. Getting Svelune indestructible sounds useful. The problem is this metagame is so much more hostile. Or so, how do I put it? Like, Tide Shaper is just well positioned. I'll just play the Sink into Stupor. Put in play tapped, or the Soporific Springs, as they call it, the Soporific Springs. But it's close. It's really close, and I'm on the play, which makes the Tide Shaper on turn 1 a little bit even more useful. Okay, we see an Arid Mesa here. This could be a control deck. I'll play our Cavern of Souls, and in the blind, I don't know what we're up against, so I'm just going to play a Lord and pass. Can't play Tide Shaper because, well, just sack the land in response. I don't really have a whole lot of information. I would lean heavily that this is Jeskai control, which means a Tide Shaper turn 1 would have been way better. That's okay. Okay, and it's control. We didn't have that information. See, that's one thing about, like, open deck lists that makes Merfolk way better. If it's an open deck list, then I know I can just throw Tide Shaper on turn 1. No consequence. I know. Okay, let's just attack with our Lord. And I don't see any reason not to play Svelune here. It's probably our best play by a large margin. If they have, I don't know what the control decks are doing these days, but if they got Rat the Skies, I think it's best to probably lead on Svelune. If they have Solitude, this will encourage them to use it now. What else can I say? Yeah, I have nothing else. I don't want to go like I could go Tide Shaper into Lord, but that just runs the risk of getting nailed by Rat the Skies too hard. Well, that sucks, because now with Tune the Narrative, they could go Rat the Skies next turn for just 1 and have enough energy to kill a Svelune. They're getting them white manas. They're getting the white manas ready. They got double white manas. Oh, here comes the Wrath. We're going to lose everything. That was bad value. It's a 2-for-1. Eating up our best card. Well, that was a good draw. Very pleasant to see that card. And probably I'll play Tide Shaper this turn. Ooh, we got a Mutavault. That was great. This is a great comeback. Despite that awful start. Okay, that was a really nice follow-up, if I do say so myself. Now, they're not in any danger of, You know what maybe I should have done? Maybe I should have hit the plains with my Tide Shaper. It makes, like, they would have double white, double blue. Uh-oh, Flage. How close are they? Pretty close. Actually, they have the mana. They just need one more red. Okay, Tide Shaper down. Ugh. This is like the worst possible time to have this Flare of Denial. Yeah, that's the worst possible time for a Flare of Denial. But you know what? Better late than never. So we're going to play our Master of the Pearl Trident, but we have to hold up Flare. The Flage is too important to ignore. So we'll attack for 3. And see what happens. See what happens. See what happens. Oh, there's the red. There's the red. It's not useful right now, though. So they have subtlety. Ugh. Okay, they could have subtlety. Because they could have subtlety. I think I'm just going to attack for 6 here. If I attack with the Master of the Pearl Trident, they can just cast subtlety, block it. That would make me a very sad person. And then we'll just pass. And I'm expecting them to tap out for Flage. I'm expecting them to tap out for something. And then we can just go attack and kill them for... Hopefully kill them for the win. Hopefully. Well, it looks like this is not gonna... This is gonna fail. Because they've got the mana to play Counterspell. I would not be surprised if there is a Counterspell in our future. But maybe not. Maybe we'll be lucky. They're playing like they got a lot of counters. Because they're not interacting with our board. Or maybe they got a lot of subtleties in hand. I don't know. Nope. Shock. Okay, that's not too bad. If we top deck a Lord, we can... No, we can't win, actually. They're going to gain 3 life. Yeah, there's the Counterspell, and I can't follow it up. So what do I want here? These are all late. These are all late and useless. See, if I had that card, I wouldn't even attack with the Mutavault last turn, and we would have both Flare and Force Negation up. I think my goose is cooked, but I'll pass and see what happens. We got one... Okay, so we have, like, what, 1 Trickster in our deck? So there is a world where they have 1 trick... We have 1 Trickster. We can Trickster the Flage. Tap it down. What else? What's my follow-up? Nothing? I guess we need to start with Sfealoon or something. That would help. The One Ring. Can counter that. Or try to. Probably another counter spell here. Yeah. Okay, I'll just concede. If we played Tide Shaper turn 1, we'd probably win. But the problem is, like, Tide Shaper turn 1, it was very nice for the hand, but there's, like, just a small range of decks I'd want to do that. Maybe not too small, but, like, Murktide, Is It Wizards, Jeskai Control. But I, like, wouldn't want to do that versus, like, Tron, Eldrazi Tron, Through the Breach decks. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I do know. Games 2 and 3, we know what we're up against. And things are going to be a lot better this time. So what do we want to get rid of? I don't mind getting rid of Dockhand. It is a pretty weak card. I don't like Trickster very much. I have to get rid of 4 more cards? That's going to be hard. All the counter spells are good. And Silvergill Adept is amazing. So it might be a situation where I'm going to go down on... Oh, I want to get rid of... I don't mind getting rid of 1 Harbinger of the Seas. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't feel that strongly to have that many Harbinger of the Seas in this matchup. As you saw, our opponent fetched out Plains and Plains. So it's it's gonna be a good card. We can get them sometimes, but I don't want to depend on it. I guess I'm just gonna get rid of some Island Walk Lords. They're not that necessary. Everything else produces some sort of value. This hand's great. This hand is very good. So very likely we are going to start off with Mutavault Vial, and then on turn 2 we will consider our options as to how we want to attack or play a Silvergill Adept or something. If they have a land, I think what's going to happen is they just have a land untapped like this. I'm just not going to put anything in play. I'm not going to attack with Mutavault. I don't want to get hit by Spell Snare. I don't want to get hit by Spell Snare, and I also don't want Galvanic Discharge to hit my Mutavault. That sounds pretty bad. That does not sound good to me. So we might as well get our Silvergill Adept in play for uncounterably. Okay, so they get a non-basic. It's good for us so far. And very likely it looks like we're going to just tick this vial up to 3. Which is going to sort of suck, but maybe not really. Okay, yeah. And now that I have 3 mana up, you sometimes have to be conscious of like how your board state looks to your opponent, because now that we have 3 mana up, our opponent is probably not going to crack this Flooded Strand unless they want to risk getting hit by Tishana's Tidebinder. To be honest, most of the good players will not crack here. I should say most good players would have cracked on their turn. I think this is not a very observant control player. Anyway, I'm not going. We can't interact with this, or could I try? No, I'm just not going to interact with this. It's okay. Oh, there is a bit of no. There's no problem so far, unless they play Attune in the Ether. I was thinking, what? What is this? Oh, they are going to play sorry, not Attune the Ether. Tune the Narrative. So then now we're going to lose our Ether Vial in the event of a Rat Disguise. Damn basic land. That's interesting. So, let's play a Silvergill Adept, see what happens. I don't really actually want to interact with this Teferi. Got another Mutavault. I think I'm just going to let this Teferi do whatever it wants. I'm going to bounce my Aether Vial. I'll kill your Teferi. And I'll replay everything, including Harbinger of the Seas. That's not what I wanted to see. Let's see. Let's say you have Subtlety. So I mean Solitude. Yeah, I think Solitude is enough of a threat that I'm gonna double. Should I double attack? All right. If you have Solitude, I think I'm okay. Okay, they don't have Solitude. I just hope they don't have another Plains in their hand for Rat Disguise. They don't. They'll have the One Ring. That's fine. One Ring is okay. One Ring will run out of gas at some point. Sort of want to draw a blue card here, which I do, because now we can play Sveloon. And that will have protection from... well, anyway, I wanted to play Sveloon and then be able to Subtlety a Solitude if they can find it with the One Ring. And we can't attack. Well, we could, but we'll do nothing. We are very close. And the thing is about like these One Ring situations, they have to keep finding more One Rings, and the moment that they stop finding One Rings, they die. I mean, another thing they could find, I guess, is what's it called? Teferi. It's not a bad card to find. There's another One Ring. But next turn, we'll have Subtlety. We'll have everything up. Also, it's not like even the biggest deal if we lose the Harbinger of the Seas, because it will unlock our Mutavaults. Seems like they're drawing a card this turn. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, no, it actually does matter. If they draw a card this turn, I guess it plays around Tishana's Tidebinder, maybe? Not really. No, I'm not particularly looking for anything. I'm just waiting for... Okay, that's nice. I'm not looking for any... oh, we can attack with Sveilun. Draw a card. Do I hold this in my hand? Maybe not. I don't know. By playing it now, I can't name Merfolk. It's all gonna run out at some point, opponent. It's all gotta run. You gotta run out of cards at some point. So they're looking for Teferi, looking for Solitude. They're still looking. If they play the One Ring, are they dead? I mean, I can't interact with this. Okay, draw more cards. Do you feel the squeeze? The squeeze is coming. All right, we win. Game 3, I don't think anything changes. Like, I'm not gonna play. I don't know. Is this the matchup for Consign to Memory? I can counter the life protection trigger. That doesn't seem that necessary to me, though. I find it's just better to counter the One Ring or not. Like we won, right? That happens so many times. What else? So I can't counter Teferi. I can counter Solitude. I can counter Subtlety. I can counter Flage. I can counter the 3 damage part of Flage. That doesn't seem like great value to me. Prefer to have stuff like Subtlety, which can be a threat and also an answer to Flage at the same time. We're just gonna run the deck back. Well, this hand's going to deal some damage to us, but we're going to keep it. Flare is a very good draw here, because we are going to be leading with our dorks. What's also nice about this hand, we've got a clunky draw with Tishana's Tidebinder and Subtlety, but it looks like we're going to curve into it anyway, which is completely fine. Meticulous archive. Very, very meticulous. Ooh, that's value. Look at that. Flage. Finds the Flage off the Surveil land. Very nice. Very, 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 very nice. Doesn't feel any better. I don't think there's a better card you could be looking for. Thundering Falls. Why? What would this do? I don't even know what you can take from me. Because you have to take a non-creature spell. You may choose new targets. It's like a 3-mana misdirection maybe for my counter spells. Maybe. That's so weird. So weird. Okay, let's attack for 2. I guess it's in my best interest to Tide Shaper the Meticulous Archive for the event that they try to play Rat the Skies. It won't force me to play Force of Negation. And so if they Flage one of these things, then so be it. do nothing. I'd love to pay 3 life. I wonder, do they have counterspell here? I am going to play Tashawn's Tidebinder if they crack this Arid Mesa. Isn't that the wrong one? Or is that the right one? What? Oh no, I guess this is the right one. It's the one that has the land on it. It's dead, I guess. Yeah, and freed up the archive. We might do some back and forth. What's it called? We might be passing the turn back and forth a little bit here. It's funny, they're thinking about Tashawn's Tidebinder now, but they didn't last game where they could have gotten hard blown out by it. That's weird. I find that very strange. Okay, I'm not going to tap out. Ooh, that's a good card. Okay, now I'm going to tap out. I'm going to tap out, that's for sure. Actually, I'm in a weird spot where I might be able to, like, subtlety this Flage and then Tashawn's Tidebinder my subtlety trigger. There's a world where that can happen, too. There's a world where that can happen. They really want that white mana. Yeah, I bet if I get rid of that white mana, it's over for them. I hope there's no counterspell here, because oh no, I can defend it. I have Flare of Denial. That is a shame. Do you have another one? I think this is worth fighting over. Yeah. If they go for Flage next turn, I can still subtlety the Flage and then follow it up with Harbinger of the Seas, and hopefully that's a lock. A lot of counter magic here. What is going on here? We're all in here. We're just all in. So you're gonna let me keep my Tashawn's Tidebinder is what you're telling me. And they're still gonna go for the Flage. I can still hit them hard, and I still can play Harbinger at the end with like Force Negation backup. Okay. Because I'll have Tashawn's Tidebinder. Or sorry, yeah, I'll have the Tidebinder on top of my deck. Unless they play Consign here. But I don't think so, because they need to fuel the damn thing. Oh no, but then they're going to get the white mana. It's not as good. Oh, this doesn't work at all. I'm an idiot. I had to subtlety that. Damn. Okay. I will put on the top. Shoot. Because they can get a plains. Okay, the correct thing to do was to subtlety their subtlety, and they didn't have a response. Didn't have a good response, at least. Now their mana is basically perfect. Island site. You want to get another island. Okay, you get an island. But then you can't play Flage this turn. You're going to shock yourself. For what reason, opponent? Oh, you got the red mana. Okay, well. Subtlety. Yeah, I had this. Damn, I should have taken that line. I might have bumbled this up a little bit. Let's see if we draw. So it's Flage is back on top. Still get the Tashawn's Tidebinder. I really need a second Flage, because they can still play Flage from hand. Because that was the problem. That's the thing I missed. Like, they're gonna get a planes. They can still cast this stupid thing anyway. Nothing changes. Okay, so maybe I'm going to just play Tishana's Tidebinder and try to beat my opponent down. Let them play Flage, eat the Tishana's Tidebinder. Ooh, that's interesting. So we will... Yeah, I should counter this. Or do I? Okay, hold on. I have another line. I could force negate, pitch Harbinger of the Seas. And then just throw it at Tishana's Tidebinder. Attack for 5. Flage just catches up too easily, though. Okay. I wonder what the last card is. It's not a land. It's not a counter spell. Is it just removal? I'm trying to think of, like, should I be attacking with this Mutavault now? No, I think it's better to actually play Tishana's Tidebinder at end of turn. I just want to throw the Tishana's Tidebinder at end of turn and just have like some sort of threat on the battlefield. They found a Manamo. They can untap their Flage now. Flage can be untapped. Yeah, I'm just gonna have like a random threat. I think the best thing that could happen is I draw a land so I can just attack with the Mutavault. That is interesting. That is very interesting. All right, now we're going to attack for 3. We're going to play the Sveloon. Then we can activate Mutavault to protect Sveloon. This is a great spot. And Flage. Well, actually, Flage is getting... No, Flage cannot come back. Flage cannot come back. All right, so this board state is great. We're going to put our opponent in a spot to actually play the Flage to eat up the Tishana's Tidebinder. But hopefully the Sveloon and Harbinger of the Seas locks them out of the game. I mean, at this stage, like, a lot of things can go their way. They could draw One Ring. They can draw Solitude, because they're going to play the Flage. Which means their draws have not been good. Uh-oh. The hell does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, okay. So, just as our opponent made the mistake with the, what's it called? The, made a mistake with the fetch land. They forgot that I have secretly a third Merfolk on the battlefield. The secret third Merfolk. Now I'm like, do I want to do anything? What if I play the Lord of Atlantis? I can attack for 3 for 11. It's a lot, but not enough. Looks like I am just going to be playing Harbinger of the Seas, but let's attack for 6 first. See if we can draw land and play both Lord of Atlantis and Harbinger of the Seas on the same turn. We can. And it sort of looks like the game is locked up. I have no idea how they get out of this. One Ring, I guess. It's a possibility. Pyroclasm? Pyroclasm would be big. Pyroclasm would be big. And we won. Alright, yeah, we won the match. And things would be a little bit differently if they ate up the Tishana's Tidebinder. Then also, the second Flage makes a lot of sense. I still think, though, I probably should have subtletied their subtlety. It was a sign of weakness. They would have been down a land. Everything would have worked as planned. They wouldn't have had the planes, and this Harbinger of the Seas would have just won easily at the time. But still, anyway, I think the Jeskai controlled matchup is still a good matchup. And now with playing with Silvergill Adept, it's incredibly good because Silvergill Adept is just like a random threat you have on the battlefield that exchanges for another card. Anyway, that was round 3. Let's move on to round 4. We lost the die roll. Hand is good if we do not need to be interacting and we just need to be grinding. We are going to keep, but this type of hand is like super vulnerable where we've got like a bunch of Silvergill Adepts, but like if we have no counterspell, we can just die to a Through the Breach deck or Tron deck or something of that nature. It'd be very good versus like Jeskai Control, maybe not versus Murktide. Hand is very vulnerable to Bowmasters, but we do have Ether Vial, so maybe we can position the hand to get around it. We're up against Amulet. This hand is terrible. I always sided out Silvergill Adept versus Amulet. If we can, so we need counterspells immediately. Counterspells are bust. It's not a counterspell. Okay, Silvergill Adept, you better draw some counterspells here. So the name of the game versus Amulet is Interaction. Interaction, Interaction, Interaction. They don't have a hyper explosive hand though. So that is to our benefit. There's no Amulet. They're making land drops. That's all fine. If we draw a Harbinger of the Seas, the game could just be GG. They're in no position to put a Primeval Titan in play. So we do have a little bit of time. The Sink into Stupor also will not damage us, although I would really like to curve into lands and keep that available so that we can like just bounce a like Primeval Titan or something. Okay, Force Negation, great draw. Premium. I would love to pay the 3 life, and we are just going to try to draw into more interaction. We're digging for, that's great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. It's not perfect at this point because our opponent has 4 mana, but I'll take it. There can be spots where, you know, they're going to play the One Ring, and I wouldn't feel too bad pitching 2 Merfolk for it. But also, it puts pressure on the battlefield while also threatening interaction. 4 mana for One Ring. Spelunking. So this is effectively, this is like the pseudo, if I understand correctly, this is like the pseudo Amulet. Enters, draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave onto the battlefield, this way you gain 4 life. Lands you control enter untapped. Given that this is like Amulet, I feel obligated to force this. So I guess I will throw away another Silvergill Adept and hope these lords are going to carry us to victory. Sure, you can have an expedition map. Oh, that's it. They ran out of lands. Cavern doesn't do much. Although it's interesting. So long as we have this mana up, they're very unlikely to ever crack there. So do I want to do this? On cancel. Yeah, I guess we're gonna play the Hexcatcher. Ugh. Cancel. I sort of want to threaten the damn Tishana's Tidebinder. Yeah, I guess I could do that. I want to hold up Vial for the Silvergill Adept, but it's just not in the cards at the moment. I could do it next turn. Like, I'm not going to threaten lethal next turn anyway, but I'd rather keep my opponent a little bit on their toes with this expedition map. Like, put them in a situation where they'd be rather to pass with 4 mana. Or, like, they can't slam the One Ring so easily. Like, you know, this 3 mana on a Merfolk deck, it's a little scary. It's a little scary. Okay, I'm not doing anything. Do whatever you want. I was just bluffing. It was all a bluff. Sacre bleu. Next turn we'll swing for a ton. See, like, even in this situation, if they slam the One Ring, Hexcatcher. Got him. Every little bit of interaction helps. Silvergill Adept not Not really that good of a card in this matchup. I don't know. Maybe since the printing of Flare of Denial, Silvergill Adept might be a little bit better because you can sacrifice the Silvergill Adept. Although I would rather, especially in this type of matchup, I don't really want to be sacking my 2-drops. I don't mind playing a 1-drop and sacking it later, but playing my 2-drop really sucks, and then sacrificing it, that's like a little backbreaking on tempo. Reveals Urza's Saga. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Ooh, Explore. That is weird. Okay, so you draw a card. You can play Urza's Saga plus something else on the same turn. So you have Primeval Titan mana by the final turn is what you're telling me. But you can still have the Primeval Titan Primeval Titan mana anyway. If you go like land, then land. But you're missing a land drop, unless you just drew a land. Which is possible. Okay, Hexcatcher, crack Silvergill Adept, play Lord, attack for a good chunk, but not really lethal. You know what? I think I'll just let this Explore happen. I sort of want to put myself in a position to hit for a huge chunk of damage. Okay, that's the land drop for the turn, and they didn't even find another land. They basically just cycled the Explore. And we will play Hexcatcher end of turn. And we will crack in for huge. Oh, that's perfect. Well, let's see what we draw off of Silvergill Adept. I keep drawing good cards. I keep drawing good cards. Okay, we'll just play Lord and crack for max. And then Flare of Denial should be enough here. Flare of Denial followed up by Hexcatcher next turn should be enough. I actually have absolutely no idea how we lose. No idea. Even if they go Cavern of Souls, Primeval Titan, I don't know how it happens. It'd have to be something like even Cavern of Souls, Dryad of the Elysian Groves, play Valakut. Doesn't even do it. Because you can't kill the lords. You have to kill like a Hexcatcher or something. Explore, sure. How many Explorers do they play now? I thought this is like they play only like 2. Okay, well apparently I don't know crap. I don't know anything. Their hand was not very good. Both of our hands actually were pretty bad for the matchup, I suppose. But I drew into my Explorer, drew into exactly what I needed, and their Explorers didn't draw into anything they needed. This drew into more Explorers. Okay, card's good in this matchup. Subtlety, Tashana's Tidebinder. Technically, Damping Sphere. Technically. And here's another matchup where like there was Consigned to Memory. Like yeah, it would do something. But I don't think I'm going to side it in. No shot in hell. I like having some 1-drops. Actually, Tide Shaper loses. So Tide Shaper is a weird thing. I do believe that if my opponent sides out, if they are siding out Urza Saga, Tide Shaper is bad. Post-board, it's like really bad. But if they are going to keep Urza Saga, Tide Shaper is good. Generally speaking, all the good Amulet players will side out Urza Saga in this matchup, so you'll know who's the good Amulet players from the bad ones. Or I should say the inexperienced ones, because they're probably part of the community. They would probably remove Urza Saga. But there is such a risk. Like, Urza Saga is so strong that I can't not have Tide Shaper in addition to Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, cards that are not good. Like I said, Silvergill. Hold on, first off, Trickster sucks. Dockhand is fine. Silvergill. Svelune is clunky. So let's take out all the Svelunes. Do I need this? So the only risk to playing Damping Sphere is that they'll sometimes bring Force of Vigor in, and then that can like 2-for-1 me if I have an Ether Vial out. I think it's worth it though. I think it's worth it. Interaction.deck. What? That's a beautiful deck of interact. How many creatures? 27. That's still a lot of creatures. Holy moly. It's a lot of creatures. And Dockhand's actually, it's not like mandatory, but it's useful in the matchup. Oh, I should also mention that a card you have to be playing around right now is Fire Spout. That's like the card that they're playing these days. We're going to keep this hand. Hand is actually great. If we can get Harbinger of the Season play, it's just GG. So Fire Spout is their go-to sweeper that deals 3 damage to everything. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. It's necessary. Our opponent mulligan to 5, which means they are doomed. They are doomed. I mean, like some amulet decks, some amulet hands can like blast through even on 5 cards. So let's not underestimate our opponent. But I feel good about our chances given how strong our hand is. Mix up the gardens. Sort of want to hold on to the sink into stupor. But I guess, you know what, the life might matter. Put into play. Because if our life total did not matter at all in a certain matchup, let's say Jeskai control, I might lead on island first to keep this blue card in my hand for like subtlety, for example. Another explore. You love your explorers. Okay, explore away. Urza Saga. Alright, so remember everything I said about amulet players playing Urza Saga. You just remember. There's 2 different types of players. Damping Sphere is nice, but blowing a land up is even nicer. Much nicer. Much nicer. Oh, yes. Ooh, that felt good. If they play Dryad, I'd probably subtlety pitch Lord. It's a very sad Vesuva. Can this copy my Damping Sphere? Our hand's a bit clogged. Our hand is very clogged. I think I'll attack for 1 and play the sphere. I'm just thinking, it could actually hurt me. Because I would really like to play the line of subtlety, pitch something, and then Tishana's Tidebinder and counter it, but I can't do that. Actually, you know what? I screwed up. I probably really should have played the Lord of Atlantis to keep my pressure up. You know what? This is gonna look so stupid to our opponent, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Our opponent, whatever they're gonna do next turn, they're just gonna do one thing, like whether it be like the One Ring or something. Yeah, and I couldn't do anything about that anyway. So I'll just play Damping Sphere on the following turn. Oh, they have Double Forest. Interesting. Very interesting. Another Lord. So now, let's play Damping Sphere. They're in a position where they can start playing multiple things a turn. They'll untap with a bunch of cards in their hand. But we can still play Subtlety. And then on our turn, we can play a Master of the Pearl Trident or something. Or if we just draw a land at any moment, we will just win the game on the spot, more or less. So they can copy their One Ring as a copy of targets. But it's already in play. I just don't know what the interaction is. But they can use it to get rid of a One Ring, if necessary. It's cute interaction. Very, 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 very cute. Oh, here's the Fire Spout. Fire Spout, Fire Spout, da 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 Fire Spout. And a Boseiju. So I get my land. Feels a little useless. This can add any mana? Yeah, add 1 mana of any color. Look at that. That was useful. So now I'm thinking I need like 2 mana now. I'd feel a lot more comfortable otherwise. And I'm thinking. No, I should just play Harbinger here. Yeah. We just play Harbinger. If they draw, let's say they play land Primeval Titan. We subtlety it, and then we're just gonna Tishana's Tidebinder it probably like 3 times or something. And hopefully the One Ring kill helps a little bit too. Probably if they play Primeval Titan, I would go Subtlety Pitch Lord. Seriously. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, and then we'll just Tishana's Tidebinder for the rest of the game. Or I guess we shouldn't do that. Generous Ent! Create a food token. Okay, you know what? I'm going to backspace on this. We're going to use a Tishana's Tidebinder. Very generous indeed. Put it on top of their library. Oh, that's pretty cute tech, actually, with the forest. It's cute. Very, very cute tech opponent. So now we can attack for 2. One Ring deals 3. They try to draw some cards. Probably I just let that happen. And then if they draw cards, they go to what, 4? And then I can attack for 7 on my next turn and then win? Yeah, that works. So if they play another One Ring, the only thing that would suck is if they play another One Ring. Then they wouldn't take nearly as much damage. But then they also probably cannot play multiple spells that turn. Generous Ent again. Yes. No food token for you, though. I said so. You get no food token. I said no. What are they doing? That's right. Tried to play Expedition Map. Damping Sphere says no. Sorry about that. Do they want to draw some more cards? So I can attack them to a point where they cannot... Ugh. Not really in a spot to attack. I think I'll just do nothing. Another Damping Sphere. Get him extra hard. Look at this land hate that we have here. Look at the land hate. So our options are... I'm just wondering, like, how do we lose? Is there a singular mountain in this deck? I could play a Lord, attack for 7, put our opponent down to 4. One Ring, they will not draw any cards, or else they'll die. One Ring puts them down to 1. Then they can't even dismember the Harbinger of the Seas. How do I lose? That, like, just seems good. And, like, they're sort of locked. I mean, they can draw 4 cards on their next turn, but then they're doomed on the following turn. I'm just trying to think, like, how do I lose this? Mycosynth Gardens cannot copy the One Ring in order to... Oh, sorry, they can find another One Ring. I forgot about that. Of course, of course. This was a very silly line. The obvious... But then I'm going to have lethal on the following turn anyway. So they could... Dismember is still offline, so this is fine. Because Dismember is their, like, main way to kill a Harbinger of the Seas. So I don't hate what I've done here. Okay, here's another One Ring. And then we'll have Tishana's Tidebinder up for, like, another One Ring if necessary. Unless they've got, like, 2 more One Rings, I guess. And they're not going to draw anything off of this One Ring anyway. Grazer, which is useless. Big attack with their Ent. Get in there with that Ent. Is there a mountain in this deck for Fire Spout? Is there a mountain? Well, I feel very choked on mana, but whatever. And this One Ring was just a 4 mana Time Walk. because it cannot even draw a card. I guess it can draw a card on their next turn if they feel desperate enough. That's very rude, opponent. That is very rude. Yeah, it's a line. That's a move. Alright, well, you can play more than one spell this turn. You still have to deal with the Harbinger of the Seas. Honestly, I think that Damping Sphere was the least of their worries. Okay, so now they can die the they can die to the One Ring. They're gonna die to my board. The One Ring. It's desperation mode. You know when they tap their One Ring when they're at 1 life. It's desperation. It's pure desperation right there. We got the tools. In 2024, I never would have imagined we'd have cards like this in 2024. This is amazing. And frankly, they were so due anyway. There was like no way to deal with non-basic lands in Modern or I should say, Blood Moon was obviously insufficient. Very obviously insufficient. Okay, do I even care about this card? I think the answer is no. So let that resolve. Go get whatever you want. Just goes on the battlefield as a nothing. Has no anything. So we're holding up our Tishana's Tidebinder for a One Ring. I think they were trying to bait out something. Because it looks like we've got another Tishana's Tidebinder or something. But anyway, we won the match. Yeah, I have nothing to say about this. We've got like haymakers here. And maybe the only important advice I need to let you all remember is Fire Spout is a deal. Actually, we would have won by now if I played properly, because I should have played my Lord before the Damping Sphere, because the Damping Sphere had no influence on turn 2. It was going to be more influential on turn, like probably the turn following. But my Lord of Atlantis was worth a little bit more, so I was short a point from killing them earlier. But anyway, yeah. Okay, that was round 4. Let's move on to round 5. In round 5, we have a pretty decent hand, assuming Harbinger of the Seas is like really good in this spot. Depending on what our opponent is playing, we could go turn 1 Tideshaper or go turn 2 Tideshaper and then have Flare of Denial to protect our Harbinger of the Seas on turn 3, so we're going to keep it, and the hand curves out perfectly. On top of that, we can even use Holdback Otawara for something. Looks like we're up against Blue-Black Murktide, and as you see from this league, we didn't even play against Energy. I haven't seen Energy for a long, long time, and I know it's out there. Like, I know Energy is out there. Okay, we drew a Lord, which is even better. So, okay, there is going to be a problem, though. Harbinger of the Seas is not that good versus Murktide. They have a lot of ways of fetching out a basic swamp. They play Harbinger of the Seas themselves, so generally speaking, a deck that plays Harbinger of the Seas, not nearly so weak against it. There's probably going to be some games where you cheese some victories, but overall, I would say no. On top of that, but one good thing in this matchup is that Cavern of Souls and Aether Vial are insanely strong. How dare you? Ugh, what if we let this resolve? I don't want them to know that we have all these things. Especially the Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, you can know. I'm not thrilled about it. So, one thing about the meta right now is to interact with energy. These Murktide decks are playing with a lot of counter magic. We're talking Spell Snare. We're talking about Stubborn Denial. We're talking Counter Spell. We're talking Archmage's Charm. So, because of that, Cavern... Oh, so that was a problem. Oh, you're Esper! Well, I didn't know that. I know it now. And they know about my Flare of Denial now. Oh. Oh, this is not what I thought. Okay, so this is Esper Gorios without grief. Griefless Esper Gorios. We drew another Tideshaper, though. So we can attack for... Start out by attacking for 2. When do I want to hit here? The white? For Ephemerate? What's black? Just Goryo's Vengeance? I don't remember or know what's the sensitive land here, if there is a sensitive land, but we'll figure it out. Obviously, they were very upset by this card. And actually, if I knew, they would be very upset. If I knew, I would have Flare Denial that instantly. That being said, they could still have Solitude. I think the imminent danger. They've got like a lot of white mana cards. They got Ephemerate. They have Teferi's Time Raveler. Whatever. Let's hit the black source. Okay, I started a lot of conversations and didn't stop. Let's get back to the energy thing. There's a lot of energy in the format, but at the same time, you may not face it because energy has a lot of trouble versus a lot of decks. Like, look at this combo deck. I could just put a Grizzlebrand in play, hit you for 7, draw a million cards, and then like Ephemerate, and then you have to face a 7/7 lifelinker. Not easy for the energy decks to face off against. The big mana decks and all the control decks they're zoned in to beat those energy decks. They're zoned in big time. So there's actually a lot of room to be successful with mono blue Merfolk in this metagame. And I would actually say, like, because there's so many like non-creature decks, like I would have wanted to splash red for Bolt or splash black for Fatal Push to compete more with energy. But like all the other decks don't really have any creatures you want to kill. Like, what am I killing here? What was I going to kill versus the Jeskai deck? What was I going to kill versus in the primetime matchup? So actually, splashing red and black just doesn't work, or it's just not that useful. Silvergill Adept is very, very pleasant. Okay, so we can attack for 4. Shall attack for 4. They still need another black mana source. I should have played a land to make them paranoid. Because they know I have this anyway. Actually, I really should have played the land because we have Flare of Denial. Okay, anyway, well, none of that worked. Okay, so they know about our Master of the Pearl Trident, so we're not giving up that much information here. And we seem to be really poised to, like, win this game somewhat comfortably. What do we draw here? Because what, we're attacking for lethal next turn? Not bad. Not bad at all, if you ask me. What's this going to be? Oh, they're just getting a land. Sure. What the hell is this for? Oh, they got this land to play the Leyline Binding. I mean, okay, sure. You can take the Tide Shaper that's hitting the black mana source. You got another black mana source anyway. So Leyline Binding is going to hit, like, I guess the Tide Shaper. I mean, it's not going to stop this card draw. We're drawing that card no matter what. So what's this? Okay, I had a bunch of tangents that I only spoke about halfway through. So even though energy is a big deck in the metagame, and it is going to be a big deck, it is a deck to beat. Do you know which is the one targeting the sewers? The middle one. Should be the middle one. At least from my perspective. Yeah, it's stupid. It should be showing. Only when something is on the stack that it's a bug. So like just like how we couldn't recognize which one was which. I think while stuff is on the stack, it's not showing us which Tide Shaper is doing what. Ooh, we got another Tide Shaper. You thought you got rid of my Tide Shaper? Well, Tide Shaper is back. It was actually not a bad draw. So now we're still threatening lethal next turn. Not that it's going to be super useful. Now, that being said, one of the cards that they have is Grizzlebrand. Now, Grizzlebrand is only useful if your life total is above 7. If it's below 7... Girl's Vengeance ain't gonna help them very much. Oh no, I guess it will, because they can still attack for 7. Attack for 7. Yeah, I forgot to get the creature gains haste. But they still know about my Flare of Denial. Man, this is a completely different game. This is like a completely different game if my opponent doesn't have Grief. I just get to keep all the cards in my hand. I've heard that I just heard like Esper Goyos got better without grief. I don't know if that's entirely true. It just might be the metagame right now is better without grief. Like in this more, I don't know, polarized, pseudo-clunky metagame. Another Lord, nice. Oh, well, we are going to go for lethal here. I have no reason not to. Solitude? Yes. I have no reason to counter this thing. Okay, they didn't find what they were looking for. We take game one comfortably. Okay, cards. It's consigned to memory. Now, okay, now maybe this is the first matchup I want consigned to memory, because there's a lot of ETB triggers. Like the Archaeologist I might want to counter. So yeah, so I might want to counter the Archaeologist. I definitely want to counter Atraxa. I have nothing to counter with Grizzlebrand. What else? Atraxa Adapt. But if my opponent gets an Atraxa in play, I might be dead anyway, because then they can just ephemerate it, right? So I don't love that line. Stern Scolding I used to bring in this matchup, but now they don't have grief, so it actually seems... Well, I could hit Archaeologist, I guess. Okay, let's take a look. What do I not want? Not in love with Trickster. Fine with Svalun. Definitely love Harbinger. It looks like I don't even want to bring in anything. Maybe I'll take out Dockhand because it's just a smidge weak. I love cards that replace themselves here. I don't even want to bring anything in. Well, I gotta bring something in though. I think they're playing Toxic Deluge now for the energy matchup. So things like, I mean, we were never taking this stuff out. I'm just thinking, do I need to shun his Tidebinder? I probably want Subtlety. The problem with these cards is I don't know what to take out. Definitely have to have Hexcatcher. Hexcatcher's fine for this type of matchup. Okay, hold on. There's another thing. They play with Frog now. They do play with Psychic Frog. So Stern Scolding can hit Solitude, Psychic Frog, and Archaeologist. Flare of Denial is great. Force of Negation is more awkward because they can play Goryo's on my turn, at the end of my turn. But they still have, like, Teferi and stuff. So the dilemma is I got too many good cards. That's my problem here. I have way too many good cards for this matchup. I feel like something's wrong here. Like maybe Subtlety should be Stern Scolding. Because this was a lot better in the grief metagame. This is not a grief metagame. Okay, let's try that. Because if they go turn 1 grief, you like hit them with that. It was great. You know what? This game is going to be revolve around Harbinger of the Sea so much that it might still have been better to have... It might have been still better to have Subtlety so that... the hand is great anyway. We're going to keep... have Subtlety so that when they play Solitude... When I tap out for Harbinger of the Seas and they Solitude, I could Subtlety it and then maybe have something else to do on the following turn. Or like, you know, we keep the fight going with Harbinger of the Seas. When I tap out for Harbinger of the Seas, could be vulnerable in some lines. Not in this line, because we're going to have Silvergill Adept into Flare of Denial. And then we're going to hopefully just get him. Well, maybe not totally get him. Oh, I needed that last turn. Well, that's decent, because Tide Shaper, we're still going to plan on playing... Yeah, I'm just going to show him a Lord. It's probably the very last thing I'm going to play, but I still want to show it to them. I don't want them to know about Tideshaper, and obviously I don't want them to know about the Harbinger of the Seas. So if this is a swamp, which I don't know if they are going to get, they might get Triome. We got an island. That's the last thing I thought they were going to go get. That does not protect you from Harbinger of the Seas. Oh, is this a misclick? Oh, okay. They just I'm trying to go for their combo. That was the last thing. Okay, so what this means is if they're not going to go get a swamp, that means they needed this island. They're light on blue mana in their hand. Very light on blue mana. Discarded a Leyline Binding. I get the sense they don't have a lot of land in their hand. I'm sorry, they don't have... Yeah, they don't have a lot of lands in their hand. Flooded Strand. Mutavault. Mutavault, you will make an excellent island. Attack for 2. Well, playing this Mutavault means our opponent is most certainly going to go get 8 planes. Just nothing we can do about that. I don't know if it was necessary to play this Mutavault. No, it was... I don't know. Because I'm not going to... Even if they get rid of this Harbinger of the Seas, I don't think they're going to get rid of it or anything like that. I should say, if I play Harbinger Seas and it dies, I don't think I'm going to be attacking with Mutavault next turn. Because I'm probably going to go Lord Tideshaper. But if I draw... I'm not sure what I could draw, but if I draw another blue spell, I should at least leave myself open to playing the blue cards to make that happen. All right, yeah, you're going to be put to a decision for all your chips here, opponent. You're going to be put to a decision for all your chips. Yeah, you get that. You're going to get that plains, won't ya? But I got the Tideshaper for that plains. Put that plains out of its misery. So, I imagine... Oh, okay, no Solitude. Or maybe they want to draw... What? What? How rude. Oh, do you have Counterspell backup? Anyway, I want to keep this thing. Rather keep my Harbinger of the Tides. I like it. I like the card. Now here's the real question. Okay, so what was this? This was a 3 for 2. So be it. Now, what's the plan, Batman? What's the plan? They've got no combo. They would have probably went for it. Their mana's basically perfect, so there's no point to playing Tideshaper. I'm just wondering, do I play like Lord attack for 3? Next turn play Lord attack for 3, hold up sync? Or even play Tideshaper next turn? I think that might be the line. I want to, like, against a deck with sweepers, you want to make use of your Mutavault. Because it's like guaranteed damage and you can minimize the 2-for-1s that you get. Because if I play like Lord Tideshaper, they'll just play potentially another Toxic Deluge. Or Solitude, Pitch, Ephemerate. But now, the way I'm playing this, I can play... Well, I can still attack with the Lord, play something, and hold up Sink into Stupor at the same time. Probably. Maybe I'll play the Tideshaper next turn and hold up Sink into Stupor. Or actually, a line I didn't think about. I should have played the Tideshaper first. Yeah, I should have just played Tideshaper instead of Lord. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Oh, I know. I wanted to open the possibility of playing this on 1 somewhere later. Like, for example, if I draw another 2-drop next turn, then I can play Lord, attack for 3, and then on some hold up sync, and then on some following turn, if I draw land, I can go land, attack, play Tideshaper, attack with Mutavault, and still have 3 mana for my Sink into Stupor. Because this is the only card in my hand that I can play for 1. Oh, our opponent's going into a deep think, which means I think that's a good sign for us. In some matchups, it's a bad sign. Like, if it's a Storm matchup, I wouldn't feel that great about our opponent going into a deep thing because they're like, okay, I could probably win here. Let's just make sure let's make sure it works. I don't think that's the case here. I think this is one of those, they're in trouble sort of situations. Maybe they have another Toxic Deluge. Yeah, it's important to understand the sweepers. That's just what happens in these metagames when the top deck is a super aggro, powerful deck. People bring on the Pyroclasms, the Anger the Gods, the Wrath the Skies, the Supreme Verdicts, the Toxic Deluges. Those are very, very important. It's best to play and always keep that in mind. I mean, next turn, actually, not gonna lie, maybe we just attack with Mutavault and this Lord. Hit them for 5, they go to 6, and still have the Sink into Stupor up. That's also a line. Your opponent's going to do something. Wow, that sucks. Oh, they targeted themselves! Okay, so... Okay, I think they were just picking up an Amazon package because that was the easiest. Or maybe they were thinking... Maybe they just didn't see the Thoughtseize line until they realized, oh wait, I can target myself with this card. Yes, you can. You can do that. They had everything. Am I dead? Okay, you're exiling an Atraxa. Okay, I think they have Ephemerate and they just want to play around Flare of Denial here. Yeah, okay, we're pretty dead. Actually, we're not. We do have a Sink. Yeah, the Sink still works. Although, weirdly, they're in a spot... They're getting close to just... Well, maybe not that close, but they're sort of close to just tapping out and casting this. What is that? It's 8... No, it's 8 mana. Okay, well, they're a little bit far away. I guess we're going to be sinking this and then hoping for the best. We don't want to play into their... Do I want to attack for 2? No, I want to get another creature in play, I think. I should think about this. Well, let's first actually... Okay, if I'm going to play a creature, it's going to be Tide Shaper now. So let's... We can do it like this and figure things out after this resolves. Tide Shaper, attack for 2. Actually, attacking for 2 has some value, because if they do get the Grizzlebrand back in... No, but they can still attack with it. That's the problem. The next turn I can play Tide Shaper and the Lord. Whatevers, we attacking. I don't know exactly what to do here. It's not a perfect situation. I don't know what happened. We had the world in our hands. The world, we had everything. Yeah, what happened this game? Oh, we had our Harbinger of the Seas, and then it died. Oh yeah, it died to the Toxic Deluge. Okay, Psychic Frog. Interesting. Not useful here. That is very late, I should say. Now what do I do? Actually, okay, I can go Lord. We can counter a Solitude, assuming they don't have Ephemerate. That's a big oof. Anyway, I didn't have a lot of room to play around that. They're going to discard an Atraxa. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Their life total's low. It is possible that their hand is full of junk. Not sure what this represents to our opponent. I don't know if they know we have Stern Scolding in our deck. Like, if they just draw a few more pieces of trash, well, we draw, like, something useful, we can still win this. So they draw a card. Tainted Indulgence. How does it work? You get to keep the discard card unless there are 5 more mana values among cards in your graveyard. That's not good for me. Thoughtseize takes our only card. I assume they're going to combo off or something here. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What do you want to do? Huh? What do you want to do? You want to do something? All right. You got that. Now what are you gonna do? That's good value though. I was Stern Scolding that. Okay, Lord. Our winning lines start with a Lord. It's not a Lord. It's not a Lord. We got to be aggressive. You know, we got to show them something. Anyway, they block. We pass. It's still possible to win from here, but very unlikely. Statistically, I'm sure our opponent has us dead. Actually, it should be a little bit concerning to us that our opponent's keeping all the cards in their hand, because if like they were more desperate, they would probably dump a bunch of donuts onto the battlefield. So I guess their hand has to be gas. It's a huge sign of strength. Otherwise, they just like dump a bunch of lands or something. We have the second Psychic Frog. I've seen enough. Let's go on to the next game. Cards useful here. Tashanda's Tidebinder is not bad. Like, it's not bad. But I don't want to remove anything. I'm not that in love with Stern Scolding. Especially since we're going to be tapping out quite a bit on our early turns. Not always, though. Also, Stern Scolding goes down by quite a bit when they Thoughtseize us. Oh, hold on. This hits Leyline Binding, too. It's tough. I don't know. Maybe Tidebinder is better than Svelune. But I like Svelune. There's nothing wrong with Svelune. Svelune's nice. Can't tell. Which better? Svelune or Tashanda's Tidebinder? Maybe Tashanda's Tidebinder is better. And I'm on the play. So on the play, Subtlety is a lot worse. I think this card is good. I think Silvergill Adept is good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that card. I will keep this. It's an okay hand. Oh, I made a big mistake. I was supposed to play Sink into Stupor first. No, I could get Thoughtseized here. So if I get Thoughtseize, I'm in a lot of trouble. But that punt is on me. I might even Shame Scoop out of that. No! Don't do it! Don't punish. Oh, I'm getting punished. Hard punished. Yeah, I knew when I cast my Tide on. I should actually let this resolve first. They might not go for it. I've seen players. Like this is literally a land. Oh, they're smiling. They're smiling in chat. But I knew my punt, all right? It's not like I walked into it. So, like, some people are like, oh, I hate it when I get Thoughtseize and they take my, I hate when they Thoughtseize me and they take my Sink into Stupor. Well, you're supposed to play Sink into Stupor first versus the Thoughtseize decks. Or the Grief decks at the time. Wait, do we get another land here? Punished. Throwing my 5-0 chances away. We were that close to a 5-0. Yeah, so just a heads up for, ooh, Psychic Frog. Will you turn my card on? But I don't get to play anything after this. We would have such a good game here. We would have Lord into Lord or something. I mean, it could still die to, like, what's it called? A Toxic Deluge. Or not really, because we have Hexcatcher. Hexcatcher could counter it. Damn, our hand was very strong. Versus this rollout. I mean, they might have played differently. Maybe they don't play Psychic Frog on turn 2. Oh, no! Okay, they have another land. If they were stuck on mana, if they were stuck on lands, like, this was a steamroll. A steamroll. Give me a land here. Okay, thank God. Well, I have no choice. We lost 2 turns, and now we're racing down 2 frogs. 2 turns down. They can go like Toxic Deluge for 2. Buff up both Psychic Frogs. No blocks. See, I should be like I should have been attacking for lethal on that turn 4. It's a perfect curve. It's a perfect curve. It was a beautiful curve. Trying to think of like what range of hands our opponent could have that lets us win. There's not a lot of them. It's funny the way the game is now. Our opponents are maybe given how our opponent is playing with their mana base, Harbinger of the Seas actually should be removed from the deck. So that could be sided out for anything. Oh, that's sad. Am I dead now? Close to it. Well, I still have some pressure here. Would have been much more interesting to know what happens in this game if I have my second land. They might have Mystical Dispute for like my turn 2. Well, I guess on turn 2 I would just play Hexcatcher at end of turn. I'd like pass. Let them and play Hexcatcher. Tainted Indulgence, sure. Again, they're not dumping any cards, so they must like them. They must have some good cards. Drawing 3 cards a turn versus my 1 card a turn. Don't you hate when a punt gets punished? Why couldn't they just not have the Thoughtseize in their hand? Why couldn't they just not have the Thoughtseize? Put Psychic Frog in the graveyard, another Leyline Binding. We're still not even curving out. Trying to figure out how we win from here. We probably don't. I'm playing the Hexcatcher now to get around technically Mystical Dispute, even though like we can't really beat it. Okay, we're just I'm dead. Say good games, even though I didn't feel that was a very good game, that last one. I didn't. That's one of those matchups. Who knows? You know, you're gonna wonder what could have been. That's a what could have been match. Screwed up my 5-0 there. But I mean, we don't know what their interaction is. I mean, if they have early interaction, might have been tough. They could have been patient before they play their psychic frogs. But if they have just like a bunch of psychic frogs, could have been maybe it was. So if they have to tap out for the psychic frogs, we are like super favored to win. If they had, they could have afforded to be more patient, to be more interactive. Game still could have went in, either way because I wasn't curving out. I was only playing one spell a turn anyway. But at least I could have had like two more cards on the battlefield. So what can we say about Merfolk? I think. Oh, this is not the deck. This is the deck. So what can I say about the deck? Great. It's totally fine. I would say going forward, I'd probably stick to mono blue. I will not be going down the blue black, the Dimir or the Izzet route because of energy is the only matchup where you'd want the removal spells. And while I do think that energy might be between like 16 to 20% of your opponents, I mean, there might not. It may not. You may be able to just cruise to top 8s with mono blue against all the rest of the field, which I think is totally fine. So I think the soul of the Merfolk deck is still well and alive, and probably into the future, hopefully the near future, I will reveal this deck to you all, where we play with Spreading Seas, which actually would have been really bad in this league. We played against a lot of blue decks, I think. We played against a lot of blue decks. But whatever, you just sided out. It's no big deal. And yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Still is good. Still trusty old Merfolk. Although I personally still wouldn't be playing with Consigned to Memory. I just don't see like the application. Like even in that Gorios matchup, that's probably the best matchup. And like maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I'm supposed to bring this in to counter like Leyline Binding. But like what am I taking out? Like Force of Negation? Am I taking out Flare of Denial? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to remove. Well, we do now know the way that game played out. I would not keep Harbinger of the Seas post board. In the past, Harbinger of the Seas was very good versus Esper Gorios, and I think they've now adapted their deck. Especially since now Grief is not in the deck. They don't need double black. They've probably put more basics in so they don't lose to Harbinger of the Seas. That's probably a card we take out now for other forms of interaction because this actually looked completely useless. In those, it looked very, very bad in those games, and I don't think it's worth it trying to get them. Just go for a regular. The matchup was good before Harbinger of the Seas was available, so I don't see any reason otherwise to keep it in. Hope you liked that. It was a very good. It was a good league. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, Fish Fam, and I will see you next time.